Bay Aqua Sports presents the Delano Little Show.
Welcome to Bay Aqua Sports, the Delano Little Show. We're going to dive right in to today's subject matter. And I had to say that because we're talking with the Director of Swimming at Queen's University, Jeff Dugdale. And let me tell you, it is a pleasure to have you here, not only from all your accomplishments personally, but what you've done with all the student athletes that have come along. And let me just say that I'm the least qualified person to do this interview. And I'll tell you why. I cannot swim.
Well, we got to change that.
Can you work with me on that?
We can.
I mean, my mother tried back when I was a kid. I just couldn't do it. The buoyancy level was off, and do you hear that a lot these days?
We do. And what our biggest, to your point, is triathletes that are runners and cyclists come in and say, hey, I want to go to triathlon, and jump in and think they can just take off and swim because they're in great shape, right?
Wow.
But the difference is that it's a weightless environment. And so they're used to gravity. And in the weightless environment, all of a sudden, it's really tough. And they go, I need help. So they're like, I thought I could swim. I can't swim. I need help. So it's we hear that a lot. And it's just about comfort. And we do that. And we'll talk probably later about it. But Cullen Jones had the same. He had a really bad experience. And the
Olympic swimmer, won a medal. Yes.
Exactly. He had to learn how to swim after a near drowning too. So it's, but we have it. My fiance is afraid of the water as well. So she's like, are you sure we're together? I can't even go and enjoy the water with you. But so we could help you.
Okay. Good to know. Now you've had so many work accomplishments that we're going to talk about a little bit later, but just kind of want to get to know you a little bit. I mean, your name is big in the swimming world. How did you get started? As a kid, did you learn to swim immediately, or how did you? Some people say you just throw a baby in the pool and they learn how to swim. I've never. Is that true? Or
so I actually have a story that goes. I grew up in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and so one of our good friends had a big farm, and out at their big farm they had a above ground pool. And the typical story that at a big gathering, somebody lost focus on where I was. And when they looked, I was walking around the edge of the pool, and everybody panicked. And sure enough, I fell and hit my head and fell into the water. And so, and I lived for a long time with a front tooth that was discolored because of how I hit and jammed it into my, so they came in. And they got me out. My mom says, we got to get you lessons, and we got to get you so that we can be safe. And so I started swim lessons. But then I don't think at that point I chose swimming either. I was, because of my height and because of my size, I fit more into football and basketball. And but what my mom what became very frustrated with is my competitiveness. And so in my competitiveness, she said that I was not acting to our family values on the court when somebody didn't do what they were supposed to do.
Right.
And so she says,
you have bad sportsmanship.
And she said that I was quick to blame others for not winning. So she said, I'm going to put your head under the water, and you're going to be in control of you and nobody else. And so my sister was a swimmer. Our neighbors were swimmers. So she said, you're going to start to tag along with them. And so I started swimming and getting into more of a competitive in swimming because my mom said I could still play team sports, but for the most part, I was going to take responsibility for myself and my own winning.
Okay, and that's a great lesson learned there. And then you go to college because one of the, team sports are great, but individual sports is what you can control, like a golf or a swimming.
Control what you can control.
Yes. Now, so college, did you go there and decide you wanted to swim in college? Or?
So then I went on and swam competitively and had some great experiences in club. And then after graduating, I was recruited by Auburn University.
Okay. Now, where did you go to college, by the way?
Auburn.
Oh, you went to Auburn. Okay.
And went to Auburn. And in the middle of my first year, the coach I went for resigned. And so they brought in a real young coach who was going to change the program around, and his name was David Marsh, and who basically came in, and I mean we were bad, right. We were really bad. And
when you think of Auburn, you think of football, right?
Oh yeah,
maybe a little bit of basketball, but normally football. Right?
At that time, we had Wesley Persons in basketball, and we had a good football team with Tracy Rocker and all the good things, but David Marsh came in and said he was going to turn it around. And I, still can't tell you that moment, but when he said he was going to take it to a new level, I bought in. But most of my teammates left.
Right.
And so then we recruited in some new ones. And then my junior year, after swimming for David, I had seen improvement. But then I got a interesting phone call that said, can you come up to my office? And at that time, the office was up in the basketball arena. And when I was coming around the oval shape, I could hear my mom on the other line. And I'm like sitting there going, and it's a 1-800 line. It's a landline. We don't have the cell phones then. And I'm sitting there going, I'm doing an inventory. Was I at the wrong place at the wrong time? What's going on? And at that time, David asked me if I would consider retiring and becoming his recruiting coordinator.
Wow.
And he said, because I truly had bought into his vision and his values, that he needed an Auburn boy that needed to, that could recruit a championship level program. So, and to help him do that. So I said, yes.
Just out of the blue, you were shocked, huh?
I was shocked. And he said, think about it, but it just made sense to me of how I could contribute to our program at a high level and how I could really define my role within the program.
Gotcha.
So, long story short, is that then we ended up recruiting the first ever SEC championship team in '94 and the first ever national championship team in '97 that went on to win 12 more under David's leadership. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah. Now, what was your mother on the phone for?
He was asking her if it was all right. He was going to ask her to retire because I was actually going to school pre-med. So I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon, and to most people's shock, I took a little quick detour to coaching. But at that time, that's what I did.
I hear you. Your mother approved.
She approved
of everything.
Yeah,
okay.
She said
that's always a plus, right?
Yes, it was still paying for the school. So I mean, I wasn't losing my scholarship. I wasn't anything. I was just going to have a new role on how we were going to ascend to the top.
Yes.
So.
And what was your desire like? I mean, how did you motivate yourself to get to where you were? Because, you could have quit along with all those other people. You talk about the buy-in. That's really important, isn't it?
So that's a great question, because there's something to say about a strong vision, right? And I don't think a lot of people know why they follow something until it's put out there, right? And I want to be a part of something great. I'm competitive, and I was intrigued how somebody could tell me that they could be the best when they're so far low. I mean, how do you see that? I mean, so I was intrigued by that. But then I think the other thing is the first thing I was asked to do was to put my arms out like this. And I put my arms out like that. Coach Marsh took a box of Zig Ziglar tapes. And most people listening to this won't even know who Zig Ziglar is. So look it up. And Tony Robbins tape, and put them in and said, you start after you listen to all of them. So I went home and put in each cassette tape and listened from start to finish, every Zig Ziglar tape and every Tony Robbins tape.
Yes.
And I learned about self-help, how to take care of myself, a mindset, and how to start a journey from either overweight, losing, whatever it was. There was a story in every one of them, losing money, anything, and how to get back to the top.
Wow.
And so that was my start.
And you've definitely gotten to the top. We're going to get more into that in a little bit. But at this point now, you're Auburn University, and then how do you move from there?
Yeah, so then we go through a lot of success, but then, as what always happens, you meet somebody, right? So I meet somebody at a wedding, at one of our coaches' weddings, and at that point, we got third at NCAA's in 1995, and so at that point, David and I discuss about how I'm going to be best for Auburn if I need to. And he was trying to give me his blessings because I was conflicted. I want to stay and I want to get married.
Right.
So I moved to the Raleigh-Durham area to get married. And at that point, we designed a plan that said I was going to help him consult and use my experience that I was going to get now in corporate. And I went back to the sciences and went to GlaxoSmithKline Pharmaceuticals. and started to really take advantage of the dollars invested in you in growth that can happen at a big company, right? And so what happens then is David says, you're going to feed me everything you learn. So I basically take strategic trips back to Auburn on a pretty regular basis to then work with the team, work with David, work with and discuss and spend time on the phone.
So you're almost like a consultant.
And I spend every NCAAs with him.
Right.
And basically provide input and watch and just calm the nerves of a coach. And we're friends, right? You can trust somebody when all things are going and hectic. So we continue to win championships and win and do some amazing things. And at the time this is happening, I now know, looking back, I'm absorbing everything. So, and we get to 2012 and we win. It's our 2007, I'm sorry, we win our 10th national championship, our 12th national championship. And the athletic director from Auburn doesn't show up to the post celebration. And I remember David getting on the phone and the athletic director saying, hey, you've won 12. You're old hat at this. But the mindset after that phone call hung up was, it's our athletes first. And so I think Auburn may be a little tired of the championships at this point. So I remember getting a phone call not about a few months after, and he said, I've gotten an interesting phone call from the United States Olympic Committee in Charlotte, a team here called Swim Mac, and they want to start a post-grad program that would help the USA increase their medal count. Gotcha. And he says, would you be willing to get the band back together? Now, you'll appreciate this. I'm making great money in pharmaceuticals. I'm having a blast. And he's like, and I said, what's the pay like? And he's like, almost nothing. And I have 2 young children and married. And he's like, it's a risk, but here's the vision. And it's important. Here's the vision. Right. So you can imagine, I saw the success of the first one. Mm-hmm. Here we are again, nothing tangible to say that this would be a success. Right. And so,
but your heart's in there.
But then my heart is like, let's get the band back together and let's move to Charlotte. And at that point, I convinced myself, let's do our mission work now.
Right.
Let's go back and start going. So we moved here. And then in moving here, one of my first things I had to do in creating infrastructure for the professional team was to find pool space.
Right.
And I get a phone call from the president of Queen's University to say, can you talk? We're thinking about increasing, wanting to start a swim program to increase enrollment. Could we partner? And so we go in and I see myself in a consultant role again to run the numbers and run and show them what it would take to run a program. So when we presented those numbers, she said, we want to go. So then I was asked, can you go to phase 2 and help us find a coach? And during phase 2, 2 coaches came in and they said they wouldn't want the job. And I said, how would you not want the job? Right. And they said, I don't believe the university will support us because they don't know much about swimming. And I'm like, well, you're an educator. You got to teach them. And at that point, when I was getting another group of coaches to come through, they said, guess what? We're going to move forward with building a new pool and a facility. Would you take over the coaching position for a few years until we got started? And so I said, absolutely. So I got to help David, and I helped design the pool, which is a story in its own. And then we were able to start the program. But now here's an interesting part of that story. With every building, there's an architectural reveal of what it's going to look like. Right. Never before or never after, since the reveal, had any drawing had a national championship banner hanging from the ceiling. But in that swimming rendering, they decided to put a national championship banner hanging from the ceiling. So again, looking back, not knowing, that was a vision
foretelling
to me. Yes. And so I changed my strategic plan to say we'll win our first national championship in 5 years to reflect the banner.
Wow. And you did it.
We did it.
And you did it a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
More and more and more and more. We're going to come back and we're going to talk all about that and your success at Queens University right after this. The Bay Hackle Sports, the Delano Little Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Bay Hackle Sports, the Delano Little Show. Here with Jeff Dugdale, and Director of Swimming at Queens University, but you're also the Director of Strategic Planning and Leadership Development, correct?
Correct.
And is that more important to you to have that title than the Director of Swimming?
You know, it's not that anyone has the importance, but what it does do is it reminds me daily what I'm here to do and develop leaders for life. And that's our vision, right? To build leaders for life. When they leave, I write them a little letter that says, you're a leader built for life and to lead on, and we'll follow, right? Yes. So that becomes, that reminds me daily what I have to do. Coaching, sometimes you can get wrapped up in the X's and O's, but that's what we get to do. What we have to do is develop. And the reason I came was to develop young leaders in life, and to, I like to say, tomorrow's leaders are at Queens today. So we've got to do that and develop, but not only for swimming, right? What I've enjoyed with the privilege of the title of leadership development as an AD is also to help our assistant coaches, to help our other athletes as well, and to provide opportunities for them to grow above and beyond what they get from just their coaches as well. So we give them another layer.
We're going to see a couple of your products. They're actually here, and they're going to be joining us a little later in the show. And they're fantastic students, what you said, student athletes. Now let's go. Just, I don't know if he can hold that up. Can they hold up at the camera at all? You can see that that's a championship ring, and that's not even the one that you won for this year. That was last year's national championship ring,
That's right? That's right.
That is absolutely gorgeous. And you got 14 of those?
Yeah, we do. We do.
On the men's side and the women's side, because you coach both.
Right.
You won 7 in a row on the men's side and 7 in a row on the women's side. That's not talking about all the championships you won at Auburn, for goodness sake. But this is a dynasty. I mean, that's, without a doubt, that's one of the best dynasties I've ever heard of.
Wow, thank you.
How did you do it? How did you bring about this championship feel?
Yeah, I think, for sounding a little bit cliche, but I think it comes down to when I try to make things simple for our student athletes and leaderships, and say try to make it simple, not complex. And so I'll do that when telling you is I think it comes down to, and I know it comes down to what I call the 3 V's. A strong vision, which we talked about, and being able to see what great looks like, right? Excellence as a lifestyle, not as an event. The second V is strong values. Values that we are not a rule-driven team, so we're a value-driven team. And so values, I try to relate to we recruit people with strong family values, and we bring them to make them even stronger and add to them coming into the university. So. And then the key to any success, either in a corporation or a sports team or anything, is how you fill vacancies. So recruiting, staff, everything that you do, you have to be willing to and want to surround yourself with people better than yourself. And that's what we do with our athletes and with our coaching staff and that has been our winning formula: vision, values, and vacancies.
Wow, that's an amazing plan. And we talked about consistency, and you consistently do that year in and year out. Are you surprised by all the championships that you won? I mean, you built obviously what you did at Auburn, but to come there and then be able to kind of create your own program, you created everything, right?
Yes,
I mean, basically
from the start. So this is, again, I say I'll buy some insurance and say this may sound cocky, and I don't mean for it to, but from what I learned and who my mentors have been, it is not a surprise because it is what we said we were going to do. And so, but I have learned from failures. So, right, I have learned from failures, but we expect to win because it's part of the process. We don't expect to win because we deserve it. We don't expect to win because we've done it in the past. We expect to put in the work, never insult the process, and to put ourselves in contention. And our worst day will be better than anybody's best day. And that's what we expect. I tell them there's going to be a day that we don't win. And because we can only control what we can control, right? But as long as we've controlled what we can control and put ourselves in contention, that's fine. We can lay our head on the pillow. But that's part of our expectation, is to give it everything we have. And part of that is in coaching and leadership is I've always been taught, and through frustration, going back to my college years with Coach Marsh as a mentor, was why he would ask a question to every question I asked. And I'm like, just give me the answer so we can get moving forward. Well, what I learned is he was trying to get me to think for myself. And because winning, he could get a win, but to get sustainable wins, you have to build a foundation of people understanding why that's important. And for us, it's important at Queens because winning gives us the platform to differentiate ourselves when we go out and interview, and to perform in the classroom and to perform in grad school, or as doctors, as lawyers, as salespeople, as anything we go on to do. We will remember the platform we learned our skills at, and then to be able to springboard into the real world.
It's all about developing people.
Yeah.
Developing good people.
And
good
relationships
people,
with those people.
You've met some great people just through, I guess, the program that you've been in and seeing big names. You marvel at some of the people that I've been able to deal with in my 31 years in the sports industry. But you've met some big name people and done good things for them. Cullen Jones, you mentioned him earlier. Yeah. I just met him the other day. Fantastic person, it seemed like. Yeah.
Amazing person. And now to see him thriving as a husband and as dad is incredible. All the way back from his days at the NC State to then coming and swimming for Coach Marsh and myself at Team Elite. We've had Ryan Lockheed. We've had Kathleen Baker. In fact, in 2016, the Queens pool would have been the third largest country, winning 8 medals, 6 gold, a silver, and a bronze. Wow. And so what happens is we've had some remarkable people come to choose to bless the city with some great performances. And each one of them has taught me something in how I coach now because of their, in one of two ways, right? I have a saying, what makes you great makes you bad as well, right?
Right.
So to learn the personalities of every high-performing athlete was amazing to me. And I love that study, to just sit there and try to figure them out and then to put the pieces together to get them to deliver. And Coach Marsh was, and still is, a master at that. So,
well, you're developing more too as you go along, as you see each year. You've got some great athletes, student athletes right here in studio. We're going to come back and talk with some of them right after this. The Bay Hackle Sports Show, the Delano Little Show, is back right after this. Coach, congratulations on a great career.
Thank you. Great. Done? Good.
Welcome back to Bay Hackle Sports, the Delano Little Show. Here with Jan Delkeskamp. That correct? Did I get that wrong? Delkeskamp. You have an accent. You have a German accent, correct? We're talking Queens University swimming, and you're one of the student athletes. And when I say athletes, premier. When I say student, extra premier. You're incredibly smart.
Thank you, sir.
Coach, according to your coach, Jeff Dugdale, he said you're just brilliant. How did it all come about? You read books all the time? How'd you get to be so smart?
Well, I'm personally, from a humble perspective, I wouldn't say that I'm the smartest in the room. There are always smarter people that you can find out there. But I think the secret is not about being studious and continuously following lectures and reading books. It's about listening to the people around you. Because ultimately, what generates success is that you surround yourself with better people than you are yourself. And so what I mean by that is if you find someone who excels at something that you aspire, and you listen to that person, you follow these people, and you listen to their stories especially, then there are a lot of key aspects that you can figure out for your own life and for your own sake that you can take in your life and try out. Be adventurous, be outgoing, and usually you will find your way in the end.
Very, very wise for a senior in college, and you're just a senior. And I say just a senior because you're going to stay there at Queen's University and continue your education, which I would expect from you.
Yes, I'm going to do in the fifth year of undergrad. We are placed with an additional year of eligibility due to the COVID year that got taken from us.
Gotcha.
And so there's so many more academic as well as athletic opportunities at Queen's that I would like to explore. I'm going to finish my double major in finance and accounting. I also added another minor to international politics and diplomacy. I will also do leadership now. And there are just so many more things that I want to learn. And besides, the royal family has become such a close and invaluable asset to my life that I'm saying, if I have so many more opportunities and things that I can embrace, why moving on too early and not staying another fifth year and helping lifting up this program to another national championship, because there's still a fourth ring missing.
That's right. You got the same ring the coach had on, and that's from last year. You got another one. Are you whispering in their ear about design or anything special you want to see?
I wish I would know anything about it, but I guess it's going to be kept a secret again. I still suspect that Coach Dugdale always keeps it a secret, making sure that we come home in September from home after we have enjoyed our time with our family.
Fantastic. Now, in the pool, you're All-American. Name the events that you do. You do quite a few of them.
Yeah, I'm allowed to represent Queen's Swimming as a breaststroke and IMer. So what I do is I do the 100, 200 breast, 200, 400 IM, and I'm on the relay for the IM relays. Sharing with my fellow teammate the 2 and the 400 IM relays. On 4M is actually quite an interesting story, and I feel like it exemplifies the personal development that I've been allowed to make here at Queen's. Is because when I came here, I was not a 4M'er anymore. I did the 4M back in the day when I was younger, when I was excelling at it, and then at some point it got tough. And so I remember my first goal meeting with Coach Dugdale. I was sitting there. My English was not as advanced as it is right now. But so I was kind of nervous, and like I had my goal sheet prepared for the 100, 200 breast, 2 IM. I wanted to swim relays because relays is ultimately the most fun one, and you can like contribute to the team the most.
Right.
And so I was like, he was like looking at the goal sheet, he was smiling. And then he started writing on it. I was like, oh shoot, what is he writing on? Like, are my goals not ambitious enough or whatever? And so he gave it back to me, and I looked through it, and it all looked the same. And then on the bottom was like plus 4 AM and a little smiley. And I was like, ooh, how am I going to explain this one now? And so I explained him the story that like confidence-wise and whatever, here and there, it didn't work out the way I wanted to at home. And he was like, Jan, trust me, we're going to make this work. The team needs you there. We're going to make it a good one. And all of a sudden there was someone again that believed in me and someone that needed me in form of the team and my coach. And that made me actually embrace the challenge of swimming 4M again. And since then, I've been able to perform lifetime personal bests on short course yards and long course meters again.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, good luck to you in the future with that. Now, do you ever get back to Germany at all? Or do you?
Yeah, for the summer, I'm very excited to see my family again. It's always like a special time reuniting with my brother, who's currently at the German Air Force, and my sister and my mom and my dad. But I'm going to be here on time in August again to volunteer as an international ambassador, which I've been doing for 3.5 years now on campus.
Wow.
And then taking on the next season, my 5th one.
What do you see in your future? What do you want to do?
Good question. To be honest, like, of course, my finance accounting background makes me want to go to the corporate world. What is important for me overall is when people ask me where I see myself in 10 years is I want to make a difference in society. So I don't only want to pursue a personal career, but I want to enable other people to reach the same opportunities and privileges that I've been blessed with regarding mentorship, regarding networking opportunities. So I want to give back to the community and to the people that have made me a better person, a better leader for life.
Jan, it's a pleasure to meet you. Congratulations on another championship, and hopefully you get another one coming up. This is the leaders of tomorrow right here is what I'm talking about, the future of tomorrow. We're back with more of the Delano Little Show at Bay Apple Sports. Stay with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome back to Mayhackle Sports, the Delano Little Show. We are joined now by Vladyslava Maznytska, and it is good to have you here. We're continuing our talk with the Queen's University swimming program, and you're a big part of that. But let me first of all be remiss not talking about this because you are from the Ukraine. How are you handling the whole situation going on with Russia right now? And did you have any family attached to the Ukraine when all this began?
So my entire family is back. I mean, they are back in Europe right now. They are out of country. But when everything happened, both of my younger sisters were in Ukraine. One is 16, one is 11. So they're kind of young and had to basically take care of themselves for the first 2 weeks before my mother was able to go home. Right now they're in Poland and my dad is in Germany. So they're out safely, but they're still family, extended family, my grandparents, our friends. So,
Well, certainly happy to hear that everybody's safe.
yes.
Yes. Now to the swimming program, and you are no longer swimming there. You might have a chance. You thought about maybe coming back, but you're a graduate student, correct? Right now at Queen's University. What was it like being part of the swimming program? You were an excellent swimmer.
Well, I mean, I have this saved for my senior speech, which we're having in a couple of days, but being on this team has definitely been probably the most interesting and exciting adventure that I've had so far. No, I think that leaving, knowing that I have left an impact and I have left a legacy, and I know that for sure, is satisfying. And I think I had a good closure. It has been a great honor. And how I got here, I know that I was really blessed to have a chance to just be a part of it for 4 years, leave alone 5.
Right. Did you grow up swimming? Was that something you aspired to be a swimmer?
Honestly, I wouldn't say that neither I or my family have been very excited about swimming. I mean, when I started swimming, I don't even remember why. Like, my parents kind of just took me. My mother always thought that I could achieve more academically rather than athletically. Like, it wasn't like my parents like pushed me or encouraged me. They just kind of like, just do it.
Yes.
If you want to do it, do it. And I think it wasn't until I made my first Europeans that they were like, oh, like, you can swim. They like never came to my meets or like watched me. So I don't know. It was weird, but then they encouraged me to continue to pursue my degree in the States, to go to college.
Very rewarding because you were able to do that.
Yeah.
Because of swimming. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Coach Dugdale, what was he like? He's still here, right? You can say whatever you want to say.
No, I swam for Jeff up until last year when I got moved to swim with a sprint coach. But I mean, Jeff is a big dad. Like, that's the thing that you need to know about Jeff. He is extremely caring, and sometimes people don't see it right away. And I think it takes time to just kind of figure him out. I definitely have. And I know that like Jeff has 2 daughters. And I think that as a head coach, he's like dad. He like takes care of the team. And like with your parents, you don't immediately see like the reasons for some of their decisions or the reasons for, the things that they do. But with Jeff, same thing with Jeff. It takes time to realize why this certain thing has been done, said, etc. So,
yeah, I guess that's going to help you out in your life too as you move forward. And you mentioned education. You mentioned you wanted to do something you had opportunity to do, if possible, correct?
Yeah, I would ultimately want to pursue career in film production, documentaries. I love writing. I have been writing for a long time, and I think that's just kind of taking 2 of my passions, putting them together is really like just an ultimate goal for me. And I know that there's a great resource behind me after being a part of Queen's swimming program and at Queen's University in general for 5 years. Like, I know there's always a place kind of for me to go back to. It's like almost like having a home. And for me, so far away from my home is this team and the school.
Yeah, well, I was mentioning to you, and when we were taking a break, I was mentioning to you that our producer, Angie Robbins, is one of the best around, and you can certainly always go back to her and talk to her, and she said she'd already given you her information. So, well, we hope to see you soon behind the film credits of something going on, a documentary. Here's how I figure we will. Just like Jan, you guys are brilliant student athletes, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
That is all the time we have for Bay Aqua Sports, the Delano Little Show. We'll see you next time.